Winner circle. What you mean now? What you need? What you need? I can never slack a backup on my dream. All these
Hey,
rings got me feeling like I can. But some moves that they hit on the screens.
hey, what's up? What's fly? And what's happening? We are back once again with Behind Bars. I am the hostess with the mostest, Miss Play My. I am riding solo once again. Big Play ain't in with us, but it's all good. We gonna make it do what it do. As promised, we going behind the bars every week of local and national artists, as well as discussing the culture in real time because life lived is a bar. Somebody asked me why I say that every show because life lived is a bar. Think about what bars are, whether it's rap, music, whatever the case. It's it's description of an event. Usually, it's describing a person, and so a life lived is a bar. And I am super excited about. I'm always excited about the episodes just because I love music like that. But I'm excited to look at a very important artist in my eyes. I know a lot of people may know the artist Lecrae. Um, Hats off to Lecrae. Lecrae, we gonna get one of his songs and break that down as well because Lecrae is not only prolific, his technique is, I would say, unmatched. I say Lecrae should be considered one of the greatest rappers of all time. Argue with your mama about that. Anyway, but Bizzle is again, he's an artist that came from he was in the streets, got saved, turned his life around, but he still got that same aggressive flow. He still got that same just in your face. It is what it is. It's not that he's hyper or anything like that. He's just gonna say what he gonna say, and he's not trying to be careful about what he's saying because if you listen to his music, really he is concerned with the culture. He's concerned with the souls of the people. He's concerned with the state of affairs. And while, there's definitely some bars in this song that I take issue with. And not really issue, I just have a difference of opinion on. I think it's very, very important. So the song is called Dear Hip Hop. And it's essentially him writing a letter to hip hop. He's writing it from the perspective as if hip hop is his father. Okay? Feel that. He's writing it from the perspective as if hip hop is his father. And we know today hip hop is raising a lot of kids everywhere. And when I say that they're raising them, what I mean is uh, people are taking their cues from hip hop. People take their cues, especially males, but even now more so. I see it happening with women as well. So hip hop influences how people talk. It influences how they dress. It influences them, their perception of what a man is. It influences their perception of what a woman is or a bad chick is, and so all of these different uh, messages that hip hop send at some point, and I'm saying this as a person of hip hop. I am hip hop. I'm a part of the hip hop community. I have lyrics on record that are to me kind of damaging to younger people, I would say so. And so when I say this, I'm including myself. We have to at some point give account to the things that we say in this music. I was telling people today, I said, I absolutely listen to whatever it is my son listens to. I get a little piece of it and try and hear what the message is. Now, my son is not a child, but I just want to know um, where his head is at. You know what I mean? I want to be able to speak to the messages that he's receiving through this music. I want to see how he's receiving the message, how he deciphers it, how he interprets it. And so, because I pray, and when I pray, I want to know what I need to be praying against. Because whether we like it or not, there are some negative messages and some very harmful messages that come through some hip hop. And so this is Bizzle's attempt to speak to hip hop, speak to his contemporaries, speak to the industry that he loves. Because don't get it twisted. We love hip hop. I love hip hop. Anybody that knows me knows I love hip hops. This is why I do this podcast. It's not just to spend time with my son, which I enjoy doing, and this is the type of stuff that we talk about anyway. It's also because um, there's something about the manipulation of the English language that intrigues me. I'm a poet. I used to rap and whatnot. I jump on a track right now, but it's just something about the rhythm, the rhyme, the manipulation of the words, and the double meanings and all of that stuff. It just, I don't know, it excites me. So that being said, Bizzle took his time with this song. He took his time with this song and he laid it out. He laid it completely out. Now, Bizzle is actually a national recording artist. Well, actually worldwide. As a matter of fact, he has a live set from London. And so we know that when we're doing music from these artists, we have to put a disclaimer out that I do not own the copyrights to this music. And so we'll look at it verse by verse so that we're not playing it for too long and have trouble with the streaming services. Okay. So let's look at the first verse and see how he exactly came with that one. And then we'll discuss it a little bit. And I know this is a pre recorded podcast, but it will stream as if it's live. And so I would like, and I plan on being in the comments as well so that I can actually have discourse with whoever views this. It'll give me the opportunity to see what your thoughts are and how you feel about it. Do you think that hip hop has a debt to pay? In some regards, I do. And that's on myself as well. That's on me as well. So, and we'll talk about that more while I say that's on me as well. But let's get this first verse of Bizzle, Dear Hip Hop.
Dear hip hop, it's me, your foster child. I'm writing this cause I feel we should sit and talk a while. It may sound like I'm crazy, but I feel like your baby. Spend more time with you than my own folks, so it's just like you raised me. You taught me how to walk, said I should have swag. You taught me how to dress, that's why I let my pants sag. You taught me how to be a man like I ain't have a dad. You taught me how to talk, that's why my grandma bad. You taught me self-defense, a little rule of thumb. You said you never wanna fight, son, use a gun. See, when you use a gun, you don't have to respect them. You can just talk to them how you want them, pull out and check them. You told me women ain't ish but hoes and tricks, and never to love them, just cut them, move on and dip. You never told me what to do if I slipped and had a kid. All I remember is move on and dip. And make.
Hold up. Hold up. He's saying so much in those few bars. We can't go to the end. We have to stop right there. Let's back up. Because first of all, this is something that I think bears mentioning. He said, Dear hip hop, it's me, your foster child. This is what happens. Whether you have parents or whether you don't have parents, you're looking for guidance from somewhere. And if you don't get the guidance from where you naturally should get it from, your parents, spiritual advisors, whatever the case is, you look for it in alternative places. See, that's the thing about us. We're very resourceful when it comes to certain things. And so, whether we consciously say that's what we're doing or it's just a subconscious thing, it's what we do. And so, hip hop has adopted him. You know what I mean? And that's what it feels like. And I'm telling you, as a person who loves hip hop, when hip hop get his hands on you, it's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. And so I understand what he means when it says, because there were times in my life where even though I did have a family, I had a wonderful family. I did come. I didn't come from a broken home. I lived in a broken home, and so it's one thing to come from one, but I lived in a broken home. So there was times where um, I didn't feel like I had anybody to confide in, not because nobody was there, but just looking at the situation and things that were going on at the time, I felt like it's too much going on for me to pour out to these people. Look at all what's going on. You got to remember, I'm an 80s baby. And so um, I grew up in the height of the crack epidemic. And so my household was very much affected by that. And so don't be bothering them with what I was going through. So I went to hip hop. And so I looked for cues from hip hop and I began to write and express myself through hip hop. So listen, this is what he says. And he put it plainly. He said, "It may sound like I'm crazy, but I feel like your baby. Spend more time with you than my own folks, so it's just like you raised me." Listen to everything he got from hip hop. You taught me how to walk, says I should have swag. You taught me how to dress. That's why I let my pants sag. You taught me how to be a man like I ain't have a dad. You taught me how to talk. That's why my grandma bad. Come on, Bizzle. Spit them bars. So look, so how often do we see, and we say it all the time, black people, African Americans, they have so much influence on culture. We are the culture. We set the tone for how people dress. We set the tone for what's cool. We set the tone for everything. And this is what hip hop done for him. This is why this is why my pants sag. I don't care. You could be educated. You listen to hip hop. They tell you how to talk. Know what I'm saying? That's why my grandma bad. Know what I'm saying? What P used to say, I tried to told you. That's hip hop. Hip hop have you it just influenced you in so many ways. But here's the part that I think he really was walking heavy on. He said, "You taught me self-defense, a little rule of thumb. You said you never win a fight, son. Use a gun. See, when you use a gun, you don't have to respect them. You can just talk to them how you want, then pull out and check them." And see, that's the issue right there. Is because, and I said this before, hip hop conflict resolution. You seen that in the promo. I meant that hip hop conflict resolution um, is a lot of times not real resolution. It's reactionary. It's egotistical. It's a peeing contest, for lack of a better word. So rather than to resolve things, man, ain't nobody got time for that. Pull your pistol off. If you carry a pistol, you ain't all that fighting and stuff is for the birds. You might lose. Take care of your pistol. This is what hip hop taught him. Now you can say that there was other hip hop influences that um was not in that vein, but at the same time, we got to be honest. That's a bulk of the hip hop that was out, and that's still out. And so this is how it's teaching young men how to resolve conflict. Like, what am I fighting for? I got the Thule. I ride with my pole on me and all this type of stuff. And so That's what he picked up on. Um, and then he goes on to say, "You told me women ain't but holes and tricks, and never to love them, just cut them, move on and dip. But you didn't tell me what to do if I slipped and had a kid. All I remember is move on and dip." Come on now. This is exactly the issues that the community is facing. Whether we want to, and let's be real. Now, y'all know, I know there's a lot of other factors that influence it in that. But let's start where we can start. Let's control the easiest things for us to control, and that's us. So if you telling them this what make you the man, hit dip, hit dip, hit dip. Okay. So then, like he said, but now I done impregnated a couple of these, but I done still just dipped. It's still a dip. You see what I mean? And this is where he's heading to, because he gonna, get more into that. But I feel like that's very pointed of him to point out that, yeah, you told me do this, but you didn't give me the backstory. You didn't give me the consequence of it all. All I'm doing is a bunch of reacting. And that's basically what he's doing here. Let's let him talk a little longer.
If she get on the pole and strip, but if she was for the love them, just cut them, move on and dip. You never told me what to do if I slipped and had a kid. All I remember is move on and dip and make it rain if she get on the pole and strip. But if she respectable, I ain't supposed to trick. And if I see my brother get done wrong, then just turn your back and let it happen, but don't you snitch. You had me thinking hard and real with the same thing, like you're real if you have the heart to kill in your gang bang. You never told me if I take his life, his pain is for a second, but it's ever present in his baby's life.
Let's stop. Ooh. Bizzle, you talking. You talking, Bizzle. Listen to what he just said. After he said, you told me women ain't nothing but hoes and tricks, and never to love them, just cut them, move on and dip. When he talking about cut them, y'all know what he talking about, hitting it. Cut them, move on and dip. You never told me what to do if I slipped and had a kid. All I remember is move on and dip. And make it rain if she get on the pole and strip. But if she respectable, I ain't supposed to trick. Come on, Bizzle. Talk your talk. Now, how backwards is that? Now, let's be honest. How backwards is that? If she's stripping, if she out here taking her clothes off, oh, then it's all right. Throw the money at her. Make it rain. Make it rain. But if she's a respectable woman and you want to be nice and buy her things and do things like that, then you a simp. You a sucker. Now, I ain't the one saying this. Now, this is Bizzle. If y'all got problems with it, Bizzle is the one firing the shots. It ain't me. So make it rain if she on the pole taking her clothes off. But if she a respectable person and you want to be nice to her and buy her things and take her out, then you a simp. He go on to say, you had me thinking hard and real was the same thing, like you real if you had the heart to kill and you gang bang. You never told me if I take his life. His pain is for a second, but it's ever present in his baby's life. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hip hop, we got to give account for this. We got to give account to it because it's not like we don't know. We can't say we don't know. You know why I know we know? Because when it's our homie, they get gunned down, we feel that sadness. Put the face on the shirt. We talk about his kids. We cry for his mama. But then we in the song and we make his, what's that song? I hate that song, especially when I found out that these are real people that have been murdered, very young kids. And that song was, girl got shot, Boogie got back, and the same time they found his hand on him. Come on, man. Those are real young men that have been killed or are missing. And they're young. and it's in the song, and we dancing to it. We dancing to it and making TikToks to it. Like, come on. So it's not because we don't know any better. I think part of the problem is we become so desensitized to violence toward us. And that's not just hip hop. And this is why I don't watch all of those videos of police brutality, because they plaster it everywhere, and we watch it, and we become desensitized to it. That should we should have a visceral reaction to violence against us, but we don't, because we see it every day and we hear it in the music like it's nothing. It's entertainment. Some of those names of them people in the song, from my understanding, are teenagers. Teenagers. And we got adults on TikTok making TikToks, funny TikToks about this song where our youth, our youth are missing or dead. You know, that there's something wrong with that. And I'm listen. Don't shoot the messenger. Bizzle said this. This wasn't me. But this is the next part. Oh man. You had me thinking hard and real was the same thing. How many people believe that? How many people really believe that? That hard and real is the same. Hard and real ain't the same thing. Hard and real is not the same thing. And here's the problem with thinking that it is. Like he said, like you real if you had a heart to kill and you gang bang. Okay, that's not real. I mean, you may be a real individual, but like to use those two terms interchangeably is kind of irresponsible. And you know, I can see how some of the younger rappers, I'm not giving them a pass, but they're young. They had to learn like I had to learn. I said some real ignorant stuff in my raps before. You know what I mean? I talked about things in a very cavalier way that were serious things. But when you know better, you got to do better. I take issue with these big 50-year-old rappers, and some of them 50, some of them is 50, running around saying the same stuff, being in the same mind state as these young people. That just don't make sense to me. But let's listen to his next bars, because I'm not gonna keep stopping it, but I do have to stop it just for the sake of people knowing that I don't own the copyrights to it and having the live continue. But listen what he about to say right here, dog.
Life, his pain is for a second, but it's ever present in his baby's life. You carried the spirit of banging across the nation, and they embraced it cause you put it in song formation. You taught me I don't need school, I can rap, and while I'm waiting for my music to move, I can trap. I used to want to be one. You told me hate the cops. Now they can only beat and mistreat us because we ain't the cops.
Okay, we got to stop right there. Y'all know we got to stop right there for two reasons. Because if we go back, because we skipped something that he said right here. He said, 'cause I'm going all the way back. And if I see my brother get done wrong, and just turn your back and let it happen, but don't you snitch. Now listen, I'm not even gonna get into the snitching stuff. And what I'm about to say is going to come across as kind of extreme, maybe a little radical. But listen to this. I got a problem with y'all running around, taking us out in record numbers, popping us and all like this with no regard, and then sitting by and watching the police choke one of us out to death. Sitting by and watching them murder us and recording. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. And I'm not advocating I'm not advocating violence at all. But I got a problem with that. But it speaks to a bigger issue. It speaks to how we value ourselves. And then it's societal stuff too, because when people say, they'll say, you don't like the police, but if something happened, you're gonna call the police. You darn right I'm gonna call the police. You wanna know why? I'm gonna call the police because I pay taxes. I pay taxes and them jokers work for me. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. I pay taxes and they work for me. So if I want to call them, I will call them. Now, I hesitate a lot of times because the last thing I want to do is call the authorities on someone, especially some of my own people, and something go awry and they kill them. And it's sad that you have to think about that. So when he say hip hop taught him to hate the cops, I take issue with that, Bizzle. I take issue with that, Bizzle. That ain't it. That ain't it. And he know that ain't it. Because what make people hate the cops is what we've been seeing on the news recently, but what we've seen in our neighborhoods our entire lives. That is what makes people hate the cops. It isn't because hip hop told us that. Now, I'm going to give hip hop a pass on that because hip hop didn't make me have disdain for law enforcement. The treatment that I've witnessed and that I've also received myself is what created disdain for law enforcement. And so I do take issue with him saying that. But listen what he said. You took the spirit of banging across the nation and they embraced it because you put it in song formation. You know, it reminds me of Chris Rock. Chris Rock has said in one of his stand ups, he's like, you women, y'all dance to the nastiest music ever. If I said some stuff like that to y'all, what's going on and on like that. So I said, he right. He kind of right, But that's what music does. It minimizes things sometimes. And we understand powers that be, they want that type of message out there. Whether y'all want to hear it or not, they want that message out there. Dave Chappelle, he makes some good points. And I know right now people don't like Dave Chappelle, but listen, Dave Chappelle is a truth teller. He's a truth teller, and sometimes it's hard truths. And what he said is, for years, I said, nigga, I talked about all sorts of things concerning black people. Rappers every day can talk about killing other black people. Nobody censors that. Nobody gets canceled for that. But he made a joke about the LGBTQ community and they wanted him gone. He said one thing. Well, he ended up saying a few things though. But it's like, why is that? You have to ask yourself that. Why is it okay to constantly pump a message of slaughtering us? I don't care who it is doing it. Why is it okay for that to go on? You got to ask yourself that. Why is it okay for and this is why, and I'm not going to get on Kanye, but why is it okay for Kanye to say slavery was a choice and downplay slavery, but then he couldn't he and Kyrie, it might have been Kyrie Irving, downplayed the Holocaust, said the Holocaust was a hoax, which I think is ridiculous. Like, come on. But that got him in some hot water. You know why? Because they're not going to stand for it, but we will. We will. Oh, I give myself a round of applause for that. We will. We continue to run up behind Kanye. I don't care how many times he kick us in the teeth. He tell us slavery was a choice. He did more for black people than Nelson Mandela when can't nobody even locate two things he never did for our community. He consistently tells us that he doesn't value us. He consistently tells us that he doesn't value black women. He consistently tells you that the people that he looks up to most are Caucasian males, but yet and still, y'all want me to run around here caping for him. This is why they can do stuff like that, because we don't hold people accountable for how they treat us and what they say to us. Gucci made a sweater with a black face, red lip person on it, and your Negroes still running out buying Gucci. You still got on Gucci belts. So I'm not going to get too upset because the Jewish community said, no, we not going. And you know what they did? They pulled his purse. Yeah, he may get a deal back, but he ain't never going to make back the money he lost. That money is gone. So what am I saying? We're the number one consumers in the world. Gucci shouldn't be able to do that. We buy more Gucci, more Mercedes Benz, more Nikes, we buy more designer stuff than anybody in the world. And guess what? We won't use our power. We won't use our power. We could have choked them out. We could choke these companies out when they run afoul of us, but we won't because we want to be fly. We want to still wear Gucci. We still want to wear Yeezys. So, I digress. Let's move on.
You had my best interest, maybe not. So I'm writing this letter.
Let's back it
You
up.
told me hate the cops, now they can only beat and mistreat us cause we hate the cops. I thought you had my best interest, maybe not. So I'm writing this letter to tell you.
Thanks a lot. Dear hip hop. Dear hip hop. Dear hip hop. Dear hip hop. Come on, Bizzle.
Dear hip hop, I met my real father. He said he loved me and he missed me and I'm not forgotten.
Hold up. Because I don't want to lose track. First of all, he started this out. Dear hip hop, it's me, your foster child, right? He went on, he ran him through the ringer now. I don't care what y'all say. He ran him through the ringer, without a doubt. Now he coming back. He told you everything that hip hop had told him. He told you everything that hip hop had told him: how to dress, how to talk, who to like, who to hate, all of that. All of that. How to resolve his conflicts. Hip hop done told him all of that, right? But now he's writing to let him know. I met my real father. He said he loved me and he missed me, and I'm not forgotten. This is going to show you, and I don't care, y'all can talk about, who's God, which God is the God of this and that. Listen, we talking about Bizzle. And Bizzle serves the one and true living God. Bizzle is a believer in Jesus Christ. Bizzle is telling you what his father told him. Now, here's the thing. You cannot believe in his God. You cannot believe in Jesus. You cannot believe all of that. But you cannot convince somebody. And I'm telling you this as a person who stands in those shoes. You will never be able to convince somebody whose life has been completely changed by Jesus. You'll never be able to convince them of anything other than he is who they say he is. You want to know why? Because he's shown himself to be that. And so when you look at somebody like me who was a totally different person, yeah, I had the same personality, but then I had an encounter with Jesus, and then voila, I'm this all of a sudden this person, and people who didn't know me then can't even imagine me being that. You'll never convince me, Bizzle, or anybody whose life has been transformed. So give up that fight. Let them talk though.
And messages, but I must not have got them. I guess you must have lost them. But anyway, I found them when I was just a youngin'. You told me daddy left. I ran a check, it says he's always been at that address. He said it's me who left him, he just respected my choice. You showed me candy and toys, and I was just a boy. He told me wait for sex, but we ain't one away. Now it's abortion and broken homes, plus a bunch of A's.
Hold up, that deserves something. You know what? No. That deserves a chef's kiss. That deserves a chef kiss because, and listen, you talking to a person who did not wait, obviously, because I have a son and I've never been married, so I didn't listen. But listen to what he said. Um, he telling them first. He ran a check and said he always been at this address. He said you showed me candy and toys, and I was just a boy. He ain't talking about candy and choo choo trains. He talking about the things you exposed him to as a child. Hip hop is exposing our kids to a lot of stuff. And listen, I was guilty. I did it. And when I look back and I think about it, I'll never forget this. I'll never forget. This was the height of us doing the Relentless Way CD and touring and doing shows and all like that. I'm in Walmart, and you know how Walmart has those little stores along the way. So I'm walking in Walmart, and I hear somebody say, "That's Song Girl," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just keep walking." Then they said it again, "Song Girl." I'm like, well, I'm looking around because I'm looking into the store and not into these little stores. They said again, Zone Girl. I turned around. It was 3 little kids, 1 girl and 2 little boys. And they recognized me. And I know if they recognize me as Zone Girl, I can guarantee they've heard some of the music that I had made, and they've probably seen me somewhere doing something real out of order. And it didn't hit me at the time, but I always harken back to that day. You showed me candy and toys, and I was just a boy. If they had followed me and listened to me at that age, I had exposed them to too much. I had exposed them to too much. I had exposed them to violence. I had exposed them to sexual situations in my music. I had exposed them to um, real life violence because I would be cutting up all around town and stuff. So, and I'm not saying that it was all just hip hop, but hip hop was a big part of it. It was a big part of it. So now he's telling hip hop what his real father told him. His real father told him, he said, he told me wait for sex, but we ain't wanna wait. Now it's abortion and broken homes plus a bunch of AIDS. Now, if you don't think that's a result of not waiting, now obviously there's some other factors in there. Again, we're not ignorant to the things that go on, but like he's saying, simply waiting could have cut them numbers way down. Simply waiting could prevent you from having to go have an abortion. Simply waiting decreases your odds of getting a sexually transmitted disease. You see what I'm saying? Simply waiting, people getting married because somebody got pregnant and then the daddy gone, or you're a single parent like I was. I tell people all the time, me being a single parent is not just my son's father's issue. Like, we got to get past that. Like, I was a willing participant in this. You see what I mean? It's like we both have to bear responsibility for creating a situation to where um he didn't have 2 parents in the house. Now, after that, there's certainly some lack and some responsibilities that were not met that should have been. But just the simple fact of being a single parent It's my issue as well as his. And so he running down everything that he wish, the message that he wish he would have gotten before hip hop.
Told me to love my woman, protect and provide. You told me if I love her, do it for only a night. He said if you love her, then wife her and going for life like a lifer, and man up and make sure your family tight. I never withhold good from you, but it has to be right. And if it ain't, then you may have to wait until after this life.
Woo! We gotta keep stopping. We gotta keep stopping. Listen. First of all, you told me if I love her, do it for only one night. Wait, back up. He told me to love my woman, protect and provide. You told me if I love her, do it for only a night. He said if I love her, then wife her and go in for life like a lifer and man up and make sure that your family tight. Stop right there. Again, two different messages. Two different messages being relayed to an impressionable young boy. And again, I ain't shooting a shot. It's Bizzle. It's Bizzle. I ain't the one shooting the shot. So we telling them to get what you can get. This is the measure of a man, and this is hip hop. And this is, listen, it is what it is. Hip hop tell you the measure of a man is how many women you can get, how much you can get from them, and how little you can give to them. And if you can accomplish that, you him. If you can accomplish that, you him. But I call foul. Foul on the play. Foul on the play. Foul on the play. How does that make sense? I'll tell you why it makes sense. It makes sense because they're not seeing an example of anything other than that. But like Bizzle is saying, he got a message from his father, and this is what he told him. He said, I'll never withhold good from you, but it has to be right. And if it ain't, then you may have to wait until after this life. Delayed gratification is one of the biggest issues that we face in our community. We cannot really grasp the concept of it'll be greater later. It'll be worth the wait. That is something, and you know, I used to tell Play this all the time from the time he was about 7 or 8, because I knew it was going to be something as a young Black boy that he would have to master. And I don't know that he has, but you know, it's that still remains to be seen, I guess. But you have to be willing to work hard for something and then know that you may not reap the reward of your work right away. So, you know, it's hard to go to work at something and to throw everything into something and then don't see any return on that investment. So you invest your time, you invest your, as they say, your black skin labor, and you invest all of that, and then you don't see a return right away. You'll get frustrated, especially when you come from if you from the hood, or if you from a place um to where you don't really see a way that's going to be made. You know what I mean? Like you don't really have a hope of something working out. When they say, well, if you just hang in there, if you just do this, well, if you haven't seen somebody do that, it's nearly impossible for you to understand that concept. And so, delayed gratification. That's if y'all don't remember nothing else from this podcast, remember this: hip hop conflict resolution, which is not resolution at all. Delayed gratification. That's another one that we really have to wrap our minds around. Let them finish it on out though.
up when you see injustice. It's thinking you're weak when you speak on evil that leads to what the streets are becoming. He told me our children were innocent. You teach them sexual dances, we tape it and place it on the internet. He told me love my brother, almost like what you said. But you said if he looked at me wrong, I could bust his head. He said his son is a
Woo, woo, woo. Bizzle's dropping a lot of bars in here. He dropping a lot of bars and we running out of time. But listen, he said to speak up when you see injustice. It's thinking you're weak when you speak on evil that leads to what the streets are becoming. Listen, y'all know me. People that don't know me, when they find out about me, they may be surprised. I don't really play when it comes to that social justice movements and stuff like that. Listen, I'm all in on that. I am never going to sit by quietly while anything is being done, especially to my people, that is unjust. I'm not going to sit by quietly. I'm not. And I know people hate to see Christians involved in social justice, but those people need to read the Bible. Because the last time I checked, I served a just God. And then it is my duty to speak on injustice and thinking that I shouldn't, whatever the case may be. Now, I know Bizzle going deeper with it because he talking about even out in them streets when y'all see your brother getting done wrong, not just by the police, but by outside individuals, anybody, then don't be afraid to intervene. Don't be afraid to speak on it. When you see guys doing things that you say, man, you're not honoring who you are. You're not honoring who we are. Speak on it. When you see your homeboy is a deadbeat daddy or your homegirl ain't doing right by her kids, speak on it. We got to hold people accountable. Because if everybody just run amok, oh God. Listen, if everybody run amok and nobody checks anybody, nobody can pull your coattail on nothing, that's what leads to what the streets is becoming, is basically what he's saying. But the next thing he said, oh my gosh, he told me our children was innocent. You teach them sexual dances, retape it, and place it on the internet. My God. Now, it's bad enough. And again, y'all, when I say hip hop, I'm included in this because this was me at one point. It's bad enough that we teaching them wrong. We teaching them to be materialistic. We teaching them to satisfy the lust of their bodies. We teaching them uh, how to resolve conflict in a way that is detrimental to. We teaching them all of that, but it's not enough to teach them. It's not enough to teach them. We tape it. It's not enough to tape it. You teach them wrong. You tape it and then you disperse it on the internet. Ah, my God. Come on now. And then you disperse it on the internet. You dispatch it throughout the whole world. And this is the view that they have of us. Somebody, a group of people that's already battling so much. We already battling so many undue stereotypes and barriers to education, barriers to housing, barriers to employment. Just like, and then that's what we're going to do. Oh, look at this little girl. Look at her twerking. And look at this little boy, how he cussing and holding this. And come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. We better than that. We better than that. I know we better than that. You might not know it yet, but I know we better than that. Then he goes on to say, he told me, love my brother. Almost like what you said, because y'all know we good for my boy, my homeboy. You ride for your homeboy before you ride for your wife and kids. My homeboy. Oh, I love my boy. We in and out. We thick as thieves. We all like this. So he told me love my brother. Almost like what you said. But you said if he looked at me wrong, I can bust his head. Hip hop conflict resolution. Hip hop conflict resolution is always something aggressive. It's never communication. It's never compromise. It's never any of those things. It's always aggressive. It's always in your face. And many times it is violent. So we cannot have it both ways, is what Bizzle is saying. We cannot have it both ways. But here is how he wrap it up. Oh, and we on good time now. We got about 10 more minutes. Here's how he wrap it up. I'm gonna take it back just a tad and then let him wrap it up because he wrap it up cold.
We our children were innocent. You teach them sexual dances. We tape it and place it on the internet. He told me love my brother, almost like what you said. But you said if he looked at me wrong, I could bust his head. He said his son is over everything. You either serve God or money. You told me money over everything. He said it's never too late to come and join the family. He said they all been waiting for me. They rejoice to have me. And that's the point of this letter. I wrote it so you know that as sure as you hold this note, I decided I'm going home. Dear hip-hop. Dear
Ooh. He brought that thing on home. He brought that thing on home. Listen to this. He said his son is over everything. You either serve God or money. You told me money over everything. We have got to get out of that. That thinking is why anybody with money, y'all take their word as law. Because you think because they got money, they have more value. And that is the craziest thing that is one thing that irritates me to no end. Just because you got a lot of money, it doesn't make your words hold more weight, especially if you haven't mastered anything, haven't showed any mastery of any subject, you haven't proven that you conduct yourself in a manner that's worth me valuing your opinion. You haven't done anything but make some money. And guess what? People make money doing a lot of things. Making money does not make you brilliant. It does not make your opinion more valuable. It doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't mean any of that. Because Bad Baby, the Cash Me Outside girl, made $1 million taking her clothes off on OnlyFans. Now, am I supposed to all of a sudden value what she says? The one that couldn't even figure out how to respect her parents, the one who was everywhere she went was fighting in public, was talking crazy. Now she made $1 million taking her clothes off on OnlyFans, but now her opinion means more. That's our problem. And the problem with saying money over everything is if you believe money over everything, that means you'll do anything for it. Listen to that. If you believe money over everything, that means you'll do anything for it. And you can't make me think no different. That money over everything, money over your dignity, money over your self-respect, money over your family, money over your soul. Get out of the mindset money over everything. We understand money cures a lot of ills in this world. We understand that. But it's not money over everything. When people quote the scripture, and a lot of times they quote it wrong. Love of money, not money. Love of money is the root of all evil. Anybody who believes money over everything, that's exactly what that scripture is talking about. You love money, and because you love it, you'll cut your brother to get it. You'll sell out your mama to get it. You'll neglect your kids trying to get it. You disgrace your own self trying to get money. We better than that. Chelsea, well, just, let me take you out of church. We'll clap it up real quick and say we better than that. We better than that. Ain't we? I think so. I think so. And so, um, again, this was another song off of his album, The Good Fight. And so, if you didn't already listen to it, I would encourage you to go back and listen to it. Now that we kind of discussed it and broken down the bars, go back and listen to it. And while you're listen to Mr. Range Rover as well, because he dropped some stuff in that as well. He make you think, and he's coming from you understand that it's coming from somebody who's been there, who's done that, and who can speak to it in that way. And that's kind of like me, like um I know exactly what he mean because I know what I got when I went to hip hop for refuge. It was a blessing, but there were some things that were not right about it. You know what I mean? It was a refuge for me and it was a good escape and it was therapeutic and there is good hip hop out there and there's always been good hip hop out there, but you know what they want to push. You know what gets the most play, what gets the most spin, what gets the most airtime and things like that. It's usually the negative stuff. And so while hip hop has been a blessing to so many people in so many ways, like I said, hip hop um it get in you. And because I know how it get in you and how it get on you, that's why it's so important to um listen to what the message is. Because the messages are getting darker and darker. You know what I mean? The messages in hip hop are getting darker and darker. And so you really have to be mindful of what not just what your kids is listening to, what you listening to. Um, and what you're allowing to constantly bombard your mental state, your spirit, and like that. Because, I told my father just today. I said, yeah, I stay tuned in to what's going on now. I keep my ear to the street, as they say, because I need to know what is influencing my son, even as he's 22, because I know how the enemy thinks. You see what I mean? And I want to know where he's at. You know what I mean? I want to know, what am I battling when I'm trying to give him a message? What messages am I battling? What is hip hop telling him right now? What do he believe when he hear this stuff? And so that's why you got to stay locked in. Definitely you got to stay locked in. And don't never, ever, ever let nobody tell you that it ain't no good hip hop out there. Because it is. And we're going behind the bars of it every week, right here on Behind Bars. Now I know it was just play my this week, but next week we going behind the bars of a local artist, up and coming. This dude always show my son love. I love his flow, and he's about to make some noise in the industry. And we're gonna look at some of his early work. None other than Kalamazoo's very own Cheddar Bills. Cheddar Bills. Yes, we're going behind the bars at Cheddar Bills next week. So y'all make sure that y'all tune in next week. Make sure that y'all keep locked in with Behind the Bars because we going up. We ain't stopping. We ain't slowing down. It's a steady grind, and that's what we doing. What we doing? We going behind the bars of local and national artists, as well as discussing the culture in real time. Why? Because life lived is a bar. I holla.